Hello. Good evening to everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Returnees Live Sessions. As you guys know, I told you already, the whole of this week is based around youth entrepreneurship. And of course, as you all know, on the Thursday, we had the young and Brian Joyce Nyamin, daughter of the giant Dr. Thierry Nyamin, who came and talked around on living a dream after the founder has gone, sustaining an enterprise after the founder has gone. It was a very interesting and lively session, and you guys were all so lively, and the comments were dope. Today we are coming back with another entrepreneur in another sector of entrepreneurship. You know, when we're kids, all of us love to read comic books such as Big Sue, for those who know. Sometimes even we had sometimes the Dragon Ball Z. Some people did have it in the form of comic books. But then today we are bringing all the way from Cameroon a Brian, talented and amazing young entrepreneur to talk about comics. And yes, he founded a comic enterprise, a comic book company industry in Cameroon, and one of the first in Africa. But then, before I mention his name, before I'll call him up on stage, we first have a review of all the past speakers through our video. See you guys in the short run and
Z tonight. We don't come again. It's been a long time where you never come home. Really low, I do wonder. Papa, mommy, picking on the wonder. Really low, them the wonder. My brother, hey, now where you day? When you go come back home? My sister, hey, now where you day? When you go come back home? We sing that the music you claim say you like and come back. Make you dance to the rhythm what people ain't get for come back. LTD. Faut pas oublier, il te dit, faut pas oublier, we want a better new day, we want a better new day, dreaming big for tomorrow, we gotta walk hand in gloves, be an inspiration to the younger generation. Oh no, the plan is be calling you back home pour améliorer la vie. Yeah, my brother, now where you day? When you go come back home? When you go come back? My sister, now where you day?
Yes. We're back. Hope you enjoyed that video. And as you've seen, surely you've had people from diverse horizons, from different sectors of activities and life, from medical doctors to entrepreneurs in different areas. We've had musicians. We've had people sharing their experience across the globe on COVID-19. But then, as I already said, today we are still on youth entrepreneurship. And for you this evening, I brought all the way from Cameroon, as I already said it, Mr. EJOB Nathanael, the founder of Zebra Comics. And yeah, he has an awesome story, a marvelous story. As you see from his flyer, he left from insurance to an artist and is a comic artist. With him this evening, we learn more about the comic industry, how to foster comic industry in Africa. Today we know about the manga, which is also a form of comic industry based in Japan. But then today we're talking about comic industry in Cameroon, in Africa. Mm, welcome, Aja. Welcome, Nate.
Hey,
Hello.
Alice. Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
Hey, thank you very much.
How
I'm
is
fine. And
Corona?
you? How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm very fine. How is COVID? All the way in Cameroon.
COVID has me stuck in the house, so I'm just looking at the walls to get counts the lowers of the windows. I'm bored as hell. I'm in the house. I'm stuck like pretty much a lot
So
of
from
people.
what I heard of my spies, you're normally an introvert person and you always stay indoors, even without COVID and withdraw. So
There is a level there's a level of which you will want to stay indoors. This is COVID-19 is not helping the situation at all. I want to go out. For
you
fact,
want to go
I'm
out.
actually scared to go out.
So before COVID, you didn't
Yes,
want to go out.
the-
You wanted to sit and draw, but during COVID, you want to go out. What an irony.
everybody's in the house. It's so annoying. You understand? I need to go outside. It's so boring.
Oh, we
I'm
have
stuck,
people.
but I'm okay.
Hello, all the way from Germany, from Fanuel Damji. Hello, Fanuel. Thanks for watching. We have another hello from Elizabeth Peter, all the way from Germany still. Hey, Alice Michelle. Welcome, EN EJOB. Thank you guys for watching. Hope share this
Hey,
video and
Elisa.
so, so EJOB, tell me, how is who is EJOB Nathanael? Who is EN EJOB as you call yourself?
Oh, I'm how I am. I can't really think I'm okay. Recently, I've been having some cough and health issues.
Oh, I hope it's not
It's not
Corona. I hope it's
corona
not COVID.
now, but I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. So tell me, Ejob, who is Ejob Nathanael? What are your passions, your profession? Private, if at all, maybe married, unmarried. No, our viewers are from all horizons and you need to know. And
Mm-hmm.
hello? I listen you well, Ejob.
This marriage question always comes up. I don't know why. Um, what I do for a living, in particular, I do a lot of graphic design work. Can you get me, Alice?
Yeah, I can get you. I can get you.
And but what I really am passionate about and what occupies most of my time is telling stories through the creation of. You can hear
Wow.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
very well. But I think there should be like an echo on your side. I'm not
Oh,
being
okay.
sure.
Most of my time is spent stories, creating comics. My goal is really about telling the African story, getting the African continent to be known in a positive light. So I do spend a lot of time creating this environment of telling and graphic design.
Then talking about stories, what's the story behind Zebra Comics, and how do you feel looking back? Are you getting me? I'm asking, what's the story behind Zebra Comics, and how do you feel today, looking back in time? What would you have done different?
Hello, Alice.
Yeah, Ejob, are you getting me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What about you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, um, but I think at least you can see the question. Yeah,
I,
I hear me now. Hello? Hello, Ejob. I guess me now? Can you hear me?
hello.
Yeah, Ejob. I can hear you very well. What about you? Can you hear me?
Uh, I can't hear you.
Oh, whereas I can hear you very well, and I think our viewers also can hear us. So let me ask our viewers. Uh, dear viewers, can you hear me, or can you hear Ejob very well? If you can hear us, just put a thumbs up so that we know you can hear us. Because I can hear Mr. Edo very well, but it seems he can't hear me. Hello? Oh. Um, hello, EJOB Nathanael? Hello. So, dear viewers, we're very sorry. We have a few internet connection problem. No, sometimes it happens as you know, it happens sometimes you have internet problem. But I guess it's still around. It just has an internet connection issue. Oh, we can hear you, but hello, Ejo, can you hear me? While Egypt is trying to reconnect, he has a few internet connection problem. While he's trying to reconnect, as I already told you guys from the beginning of this session, today we are in the world of comics. We are in the imaginary world. All those before all shout out to all those artists who bring out marvelous things from their mind and are able to put it down in a drawing for us to enjoy. This is one of the few comic enterprises or companies across Africa, and it is found in Cameroon. They are found in Cameroon. There are not so many, and it's still a part of an industry that has been explored by so many. And of course, today's guest, Mr. EJOB Nathanael, is one of those people, one of those pioneers in Cameroon in that industry. And as we always say on this platform, we should live by the philosophy of Ubuntu, that together we're stronger, and we need to encourage our own people, we need to encourage our own businesses to make sure that Africa can be as great as we wish it to be. We need to encourage made in Cameroon, made in Africa, to make sure um, we can get to a level where we want again to find ourselves. We have Mr. EJOB Nathanael, who is trying. Yes, Mary. Our guest has an internet connection issue, and you're right. You're right. Yeah, he has internet connection issue. He's trying to connect right now. Yeah, you're really right, Franklin Agbom. He's um he's trying to connect. He just sent me a message. It's not easy, you know. It's not really easy working with the current internet connection. It's not always the way we want it to be, but then we have to work with it. So why I guess it's coming, I will. Oh, great, he's around already. Hello,
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Is it
Can you
up
hear
now?
me? Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Thanks for persevering
the
and for
network,
trying your best to connect.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I was asking, I was
okay. I'm glad I'm here. I'm back here.
exactly. So I was wondering, same as our viewers, that what is the story behind Zebra Comics and how do you feel looking back?
Comics it started around in 2000 October, and it all stemmed from a certain need to of wanting to tell African stories. And uh, I realized that first of all, I'm a fan of books. I love books. I love comic books in particular. I read a lot of comics and graphic novels, but there have always been this shortage of African content. So in 2016, well, even before that, I set out to do some stories. I got a team together. We came together, created Zebra Comics, and we've been releasing comic books ever since. And
Wow,
I think it's about 4 years now, and we are still on. So the fight is still on. We are still creating stories. We are still pushing the agenda ahead, bringing Africa forward.
exactly. But I know from your story that you were first into insurance. How do you divert, leave from insurance into comics? You know, I know you have that love for
Those are
comics.
some of the publications. You're showing the right there on the screen. Those are some of our comics that were released in 2018. So since then,
Oh,
we're releasing a lot of comic books.
mm-hmm. And this one of them also. So, Ajob, I know from your story, you know, you have not said, you haven't told our viewers all your story. You were first into insurance before coming into graphic properly in novels, isn't it?
Oh my God, I can hear you again.
Uh, so- can you hear me now? So, the viewers, no, in Age of Story, is I can coming to meet, bring you guys someone up on stage here. We try to understand a bit their story. And part of my story, he didn't tell you is that I know Ajob not today, like it's many years later that I know Ajob from secondary school. And since then, he's always and always been passionate about drawing, about graphic design, about drawing characters. It has been his passion. And though he has a university degree and he went into an insurance company, it didn't stop him from living his dream. And today, still, he decided to enter the market of comic industry and bringing up a new product in the market. As you rightly said, in Africa there are very very few comic industries, and he decided to be one of those people. Oh yeah, Miranda, the network is really really bad, and Egypt has so much to tell us tonight, but the connection is not good. But I know he's trying his best to connect himself. And of course, once the connection will be going on fluidly, be able to ask all the questions we have for him in store. And of course, if you have a question also, don't hesitate to write it down so that once he comes back, we'll be able to ask all those questions all over again. But while Egypt is coming, he's really trying to connect. While he's coming, we'll have a review of different works of his together. But he has an application, a Zebra Comics app that I tell you guys, or I encourage everybody watching this video or those coming up to watch this video to download the app. There you can have storybooks nearly for free. Oh, we have him again. Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. I had to switch from my phone to my computer just in case. It appears my computer. Yeah, I had to switch.
No, we have Mickey who says so bad he has internet challenges. Yes, Mickey is so bad, so bad. But then he's a warrior, so he can let internet back him down. We had Miranda Mirage who says network is bad. You see, you have so many women behind you this evening. There's Mary Tree, all the way from Cameroon. There's so many that you have so many women behind you this evening. Wow. Like
don't flatter me.
It's part of my role. No, Nate, I was I always affectionately call you Nate. I like cutting the name from Nathanael to Nate. You told us about your story of Zebra Comics, but in that story, you left out the part that you were first into insurance.
Oh, yes.
And you had a degree, but then you diverted. What pushed you not to completely leave insurance? Some people try to do both, living their dreams while living a profession, but instead to leave your profession or what you study in school completely to concentrate yourself only into comics. Why?
I'm a guy who is honest with himself. At a certain point in your life, you have to ask yourself, what would you rather be doing? You understand? So I was into insurance, but my heart was in storytelling. My heart was in comics, was in cartoons. I wanted to create stories. I wanted to have an impact on Africa. We don't have enough African content out there in cartoons, in comic books. So I saw insurance. It wasn't a bad job, but it was in a way wasting a lot of time that I didn't have. You see, you do realize that the creative business is something that demands a lot of time, and so for me to really make it happen, I had to either do this or that. So I decided to go full swing into the comic book publishing business and into graphic design. And as a bonus, I already had the talent for this. So why not build off of what I already have, then stay with something that is not really who I am, despite paying the bills and all that. So I had to move.
Every one of us to grow our talent, because as you rightly said, you discovered you had a talent already into art, into drawing. I said to perfect your talent, and that's why today we hear Zebra Comics across Cameroon. People really didn't know about Zebra Comics, about comics in general, especially African comics. And what type of comics do you produce? Your character, the story behind your storylines. What's the storyline behind your comics? Are they from Africa? Where are they coming from?
Our stories pretty much touch on every aspect of life. We have comics that deal with the African woman, her challenges, and we have superhero comics. We have historical fiction comics. We even have some romance stories that are coming up soon, and we are also working on some. Yeah, we're also working on some children's books. So we we also have comics that deal with fantasy or mysticism. Pretty much everything that has to touch Africa, we have a story for that. So we pretty much have a story that deals with many aspects of the African reality.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really, really amazing to see a young Cameroonian having that much ambition, trying to create the comic industry of Africa. Dear viewers, if you're just coming up this evening, we have EJOB Nathanael of Zebra Comics. Today we are talking about, as since Sunday we have been around entrepreneurship, youth entrepreneurship, and today we are concentrating ourselves around the comic industry. Most of us love watching mangas from Japan. We love watching those who are in the 90s. They used to love reading the books such as Pixel. But today we have Zebra Comics. It is Cameroonian made. It is made in Cameroon. It's made in Africa, and it is it's a duty somehow. It's a duty, not somehow. It's a duty to encourage our products, encourage our brothers, encourage made in Africa. Only we alone can make the Africa we want to be, and we alone can encourage the young entrepreneurs to produce quality products and to tell our own story. Why not?
Yeah.
Maybe you can have your biography, and if you wanted to write your biography down, you can change the narrative and decide to put in the form of a comic book. It'd be a way to make everybody interested in your biography, from kids to adults. So those passionate about cartoons, those passionate about comic books in general. They'll read your story, and they'll be not only be able to read it, but they'll be able to portray how your life went through. So this is the time. You're just coming in. We are with EJOB Nathanael from Zebra Comics. So, Nick, tell me, what are the comic books present in the market under Zebra Comics? And
there are quite a lot actually. I'll go back a bit in history to say a bit of our journey. When we started in 2016, we published three comic book issues. We had Aliyah, we had Totem, we had Tumbu. Yes, yeah. This you see Totem there, you see Aliyah there, you see Tumbu there. I think those are the first two issues of each. That was this section was published in 2018. So yeah, and since then we have had several other comic book titles. Like recently, we launched Minecraft. We also launched Joku. We also launched that is Minecraft. Minecraft has had 101 readers last week, and
wow.
Joku had about 95, if I can remember correctly. So I think Cameroonians, and strange thing is enough, all of that is from Cameroon. So, and we also have other comics that are coming up. The last week of June, we'll be releasing another story called The Artist. And then next week, we're also releasing another story called Okada.
Oh.
Okada is going to be a weekly comic book strip. And we also have some comics from Nigeria. We also have some of our partners from Nigeria who are also publishing with us. We have about 20 titles from Nigeria alone. We have there's so many. I can go on and on. We have Barikisu, we have Ages, we have Moondust, we have Faith. There's so many comics that are available on our mobile application, for instance, and we are currently working on getting more hard copies. So Zebra Comics has actually published quite a lot, and we are going to publish a lot more in the months ahead. And we're going to be very consistent, as every week we'll be putting something out there. So yeah, that's pretty much how far we are with content.
A publishing house, a design house that you do everything inside, and you commercialize in Zebra.
Yeah. Yeah. So we
Wow.
produce our comics.
All are those looking at or
Hmm?
those
I was saying we produce our comics.
yeah.
We also distribute our comics. One of the biggest challenges of comics has always been distribution, especially for Africa. So what the solution we devised to make it easily accessible is to create a mobile application called Zebra Comics. We yes, this is Zebra Comics, the mobile app. Well, this is a flyer talking about Zebra Comics, and when you download the app, we have a Google Android version currently available. We're still working on the iOS version for Apple devices. So if you have an Android application, you can get it right away, and you have access to over 20 plus comic book issues released weekly, monthly, and very soon we'll have many more titles we're going to launch. So there's really a lot of content out there. We work, we distribute on our own platform, and we are also working on hard copy distribution. So we pretty much do everything in our homes, in our studios, and that's how we do. That's how we do.
Wow. Your story just it's so amazing, living
Thank
from an imagination, from a dream, from a talent, and today you find yourself publishing, distributing, and not only Cameroonian comics, but all the way from Nigeria and expanding across Africa. That's no, there's something really special about comic book. No, at first we used to think that people don't really read comics, or it was in those days, as people say in quotes, in those days. But you're proving you're proving us wrong that so many people are interested into comics, into the
Yeah,
drawing.
so many. There are actually an overwhelming number of young people, even older people who are interested in comics, and there are a lot of them who are Cameroonian. Strangely enough,
Wow.
I recently those are some kids who came by one of our stands in the recent comic book festival in Cameroon here in Yaoundé, and you realize that there's a great interest in the comic book storytelling medium. And I was telling you recently that last week alone we had 101 readers just for Minecraft alone, and we had about 95, and the other the other comics I haven't been looking at the stats, but I do believe that they are reading them too. So it tells you that if 100 people are reading your comic every week and they are all from Cameroon, then people are reading comics. So
Exactly.
it does make us have a different perspective of the way the industry or how comics is being perceived in Africa as a whole. When you see, we have a lot of partners from across Africa, Nigeria in particular, and you see that there's a great interest in the comic book medium. It is relatively new in Africa as an industry, but the interest has always been present. It has just been for us to, as Africans, to exploit it and to make it grow. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Huh? That's pretty much it.
Wow. But you've answered part of my next question that I had in mind of wondering what comic industry
Hey,
in
we have
Africa
something
is
new.
like. Yeah. I was about asking what's the comic book in Africa, comic industry in general in Africa looking like? Like what are the countries stopping the industry? How is it trained? And I think you've answered part, but it's another part you haven't answered. If you can
Right now,
remember.
I can say without blinking that the people leading in the comic book industry in Africa, as far as production of content is concerned, is Nigeria, and after Nigeria, strangely enough, is Cameroon.
Wow.
Uh, strangely enough, is Cameroon, and Zebra Comics is the one leading Cameroon as far as Central Africa in general is concerned. We're leading in a number of publications we have out there, and we also have a lot of comic books coming from other countries like South Africa. We have Queasy from South Africa, done by Luiso Mikize. We have comics from Ghana too. We have comics from Ghana. We have a guy in Togo doing amazing stuff. We have studios like Leti Arts, that's in Accra. We have Comic Republic. We have Ipo Comics. We have Mad Comics. We have Unique Studios. We have Pida Comics. We have Ta Comics. There are a lot of, you see, the industry in Africa is suddenly aware. Is suddenly aware of the importance of telling the African narrative, of telling our own stories. So Africa is no longer asleep as far as the production of comics is concerned. And the interest of comics is there. And I do believe some years from now, it will be as common as any other medium of entertainment in Africa. And
I think if I'm not mistaken, also there should be the founder of this platform, the Returnist platform, who I think your work, you carrying out the work with her project on the biography, being Mira, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm working on that project.
Yeah. So the individuals can come towards Zebra Comics to tell their own story. They want the way they want it to be told in the comic form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I see. One of the particularities about Zebra is that we can tell a lot of stories. We can take a lot of gigs to tell other people's stories as well. But that is usually we are quite picky with the stories we select to tell. So I saw you ask what is peculiar or the particularities of Zebra. One of the things I can say about Zebra is that I think in Africa we are really the only startup that publishes in several languages. We publish in both English and French simultaneously, and in the months ahead we're releasing comics we already have comics translated into German. We already have comics translated into Spanish. We already have comics translated into Mandarin. So I think I'm forgetting one other language, but we have comics coming in multiple, at least 5 languages. So those are one of the peculiarities about Zebra Comics.
No, if you're just tuning in, I bet you you need to, and you must rush and download the Zebra Comics app, because they have so much in store for each and every one of us. They have so much, and as you see, the price of a comic book is only in just 300 CFA francs. If you're using the euro, then it's just about 50 cents. It's about 50 cents that you're spending for one comic. This is godsend. If I put it that, it is really good and amazing.
Actually, that is a limited offer. The 300 francs is a limited offer. We are soon going to do all our comics to 600 francs. It was that was a limited offer. We gave some free comics. There are still free comics on our mobile application. There are still comics for 300 francs on our mobile application, but that is only for a limited period of time. In about a month, all our comics will be 600 francs and above. That's about $1. So that's a limited offer now. So I'm just encouraging more people to read more comics.
So, EJOB, it seems as if you forgot some of the things that you do in Zebra Comics. And we just have Elizabeth that reminds us that you also do emojis.
Yeah.
So please stop forgetting your work.
The thing is, like I said, we do a lot of graphic design jobs. So emojis is just going to obviously be part of graphic design and all that. So we do emojis, we do even portraiting. There are a lot of things we do, but I wanted to talk about comics because that's really what we are based on. The Being Myra project is going to also be a comic book release. So, and it's a private project for Miranda Oben. So stories like that and other things we do, they are just part of the studio, part of what we do in general. But our major business is creating comic books, creating African stories.
Wow. But I guess there's so many of our viewers that can tell you what you're doing or what you're producing. Because I know many people watching right now that has been passionate, and I'm part. I love watching toons and cartoons and mangas and all those things. Are a real fan because I think it permits us to, increase our creativity and let our imagination fly and fly and fly. And it's really a world to escape. You don't have excess TV, but then you can really work your imagination out the way you want it to be. And
Yeah.
there's nothing best to me than comic books.
And
So,
again, like,
so
w-
mhm. Yeah,
no,
go on and
I was just, no, I was going to say that comics are really very good, a very good relaxation tool or thing in the sense that I, for one, well, I don't usually like using myself because obviously I love comics. But
okay.
if you want to if you want to relax, you're in confinement right now. You want to relax. You pick up your phone, you download the app, you find a lot of amazing stories that will keep you entertained, that will keep you going. And what is good and peculiar or particular about Zebra is that we are consistent with our releases.
Mhm.
So you'll be sure to get the next episode next month or the month after because we have
Wow.
bi-monthly issues. We
Mhm.
have bi-monthly issues. We have monthly issues and very soon weekly issues like. Okada. I was talking to you about Okada. Okada is going to be
Exactly.
weekly. So we do strive a lot to be consistent. It's not an easy task, but we do try to be consistent to keep our readers
I know.
continue reading our comics. Yeah,
No,
so
consistency is
yeah.
something really important because I hate when I start reading a comic book and I have to wait for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year in order to have the next episode. It makes you to lose interest, and that when you reach that point of excitement, and you're like, okay, what's going to happen next? I have to wait for 2 months, 1 year. You just feel like, okay, so that's really important to be
Uh,
on point to really have your product flowing in the market.
Yeah, so what we did to solve that problem was to what we did to solve that problem was to create a lot of content. That's why we invited our Nigerian partners to also sell through our app, because the truth is we consistency is very difficult, especially for any startup, and that is why our comics we would have loved them to have all our comics be every month, but we can only do them bi-monthly so that if you read a comic, you have to wait the month after to continue. But in the meantime, there are other comics you can read. You see, so
Exactly.
you always have something to read so that you don't get bored. So by the time the month passes and the next story is available, you can continue from where you
Mhm.
stopped. So we try our best to make sure that there is this consistency. We hopefully with time and with more sales, we'll be able to hire more artists to make sure they will improve on the consistency level our releases. So that's one of the things we struggle with, but we're going ahead. We're trying.
No, in the meantime, we have Uncle Bruce that say, "Oh wow, being Mira from Miranda Oben's story. Oh great, she's an inspiration. I hereby order 10 copies already of that comic books. E.M. and Ali Michelle.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Encouraging me. You can download his app while waiting that the Being Mira comic book is out. Download the app on Google
Go
Store and
ahead.
as well as yeah online, and you can watch all or you can have all the comics in that they have in the industry. You can have them all the time. And as you said, they have weekly reviews, they have monthly reviews, they have bi-monthly reviews, and you won't get bored at all. It's the
No.
best time to read in confinement. That is a time to offer someone, to offer a friend a comic book, and you can do that through Zebra Comics. So,
Yeah.
Nate, let's coming back to our business. This comic books there's Corona. What's the impact that's positive and negative of the COVID-19 on the comic industry in general, and of course Zebra Comics in particular?
Um, the comic book industry. Okay, I will focus on Africa because around the world, the comic book industry has been badly hit by the coronavirus. In the US, for example, the largest distributor of comics went on a shutdown. That's Diamond Distributors. They went on a shutdown, but that pretty much is none of our business. It doesn't really affect us in Africa, since we are relatively building our own industry from ground up, and I think COVID-19 has not really had a negative impact on the comic book industry in Africa as far as production is concerned. I think the only negative issue will be as far as distribution is concerned, distribution of hard copies. But as far as production of the comics, as far as telling stories is concerned, as far as releasing new stories is concerned, we haven't really had an issue because of COVID-19. We have actually had more time to dedicate to the production of more stories, since most of our readers are now, a lot of our readers are now stuck in their homes, so we're now producing for them to read many more issues. During this COVID-19, we have released many more comic books than we have in the past 2 years. So it's really helped us to fast forward our production, to make sure that our readers are not bored, they have something to read. So yeah, as far as the hard copies of distribution are concerned, we have a slowdown on that level because of COVID-19. But we're working on it. Hopefully, when all this wahala is over, we can finally get out there and try to get some hard copies into the market. But for now, that remains a challenge. For now, we are sticking with the app, and we're sticking with producing digital content for our readers for now. So that's how COVID-19 it's really affecting us. That's really how it's affected by it.
No, we have Franklin that's wondering how to produce a 25 page of a comic book.
Hello, Franklin. A comic book. Well, initially, I've been evolving as an artist for the past 4 years. I think from the very start, I could take like 3 months to produce 25-page comics, and currently I can do 25-page comics in 2 months, and sometimes even in 1 month. It depends on the number of projects I'm handling at a particular period of time. But if everything being equal, if I were to focus only on comics and not any other graphic design gig, I would say it would take me about a month to produce a 25-page comic book that is going through all the processes. Usually, one artist is not supposed to do all the processes, but with our African realities, we don't have the expertise to handle all the. That is why it's going to take me a very long time to produce a 25-page comic. So I usually take everything being equal a month, but everything not being equal, let's say 2 months to produce 25-page comics. So it does take a while to produce a comic. The thing with comics is that one thing many people don't realize is every page has at least 4 experts that go through it. The challenge with us Africans is that we have to learn all the 4 tasks. There's the script parts. Usually, the artist should not be the one writing the scripts. It should be a script writer. We also have someone who does the storyboarding. We have someone who does the penciling. We have someone who does the inking. We have someone who does the coloring, and even the coloring itself is divided into 3 sections at least. So, and that's for each page. So if I were to put that together, they might even sum up to about 8 steps to take per page. So it's not easy to produce a single page of a comic book as you see it, as simple as it looks. So it takes a sort of various specialities to produce a single page. So it takes a while. But our challenge as startups is that we are forced to do all the stages at once. We have to give a single artist to go through all those stages at once. So that's why it usually takes us longer to produce more comics than maybe an established company like Marvel that has an army of artists. So yeah,
Exactly. No. But we have faith that in a few years now, Zebra Comics will be a reference in Africa. It'll be more than a Marvel. Why not? But EJOB, I've always had this question throughout in my head. What's the difference between cartoon, webtoon, graphic novel, and comic book?
okay. A cartoon is. I'll give very simple definitions for people not in the industry. A cartoon is simply moving. Let's just say a moving drawing. Let's just say what we call 2D animation. That is animated artwork, animated drawing. So if you draw something in various sequences and you're able to animate it, maybe in a computer program or something, or the old-fashioned way, that is animation. That is cartoon. That is bringing to life a drawing, making it move, making it talk. Those are cartoons. Webtoons are comics in a different way. Webtoons are comics that are consumed in let's just say in bits. Let me put it this way: a webtoon is a comic, but you read it in panel by panel. A panel is those small boxes. Those small boxes of that carry a story. So when a webtoon is arranged in a way that you read those small box by box, that's small every panel by panel. So that's the simplest way I can describe a webtoon. But it's not really different from a comic. It's just that webtoons are let's say more easy to read on mobile devices. They are more adaptable to mobile devices because they are arranged panel by panel. So you can read box by box. Let me put it that way. A graphic novel is the simplest way to define a graphic novel would be to call it a long comic book. Let's say a comic book of about 100 pages. That is why we have the term novel attached to it. It is a comic book. It is a comic book, but it is long. That is why we call it a graphic novel. Understand? So if I had, let's say, like 10 chapters of my comic book put into one book, I'll call it a graphic novel. If I had like 10 issues, 10 issues put together in one book, I'll call it a graphic novel. You also hear of terms like trade paperbacks. Trade paperbacks are also graphic novels in a way. So comic books are usually shorter, about 20 to 35 pages per chapter or per issue. So that's the major difference. So a comic book is shorter. A graphic novel is a comic book that is longer. A webtoon is just a mobile comic. It's just adaptable to mobile devices, and cartoons are moving drawings or are moving illustrations or animation.
Wow, you've definitely learned a lot just in a few minutes. Like I never known that. For me, I took everything is comic. That's okay. No, we have Franklin.
We also have
saying that.
Also, there's also one thing you forgot. No, you probably didn't know. We also have storybooks. Storybooks are different. Children's storybooks are also very different from comics. At times when we talk about comics, some people think of children's storybooks. Those are very different. Those are things like the Cinderellas and all that, where a storybook has a page with an illustration and then some text that tell the story. So those are how storybooks are formatted. So the storybooks are different from comic books, graphic novels, webtoons, and cartoons.
I have to come for Zebra for storybooks. I don't need to go. I just go write my own story through Zebra Comics.
We're working on
In the same line, we have Franklin that says great work on the creation process. But I have another question. How do comics produced by Zebra Comics help in educating the young Africans in the world where the black man is continuously being discriminated against against and where Africa is still being plagued by war, poverty, diseases, etc.?
That is a long question, Frank.
It's a very long question.
um,
But I think as a resume, it simply means how do you portray, how do you help Africans, educate Africans, one. And the second part is how you portray the black man in a world where they are being discriminated and they are being tarnished in a certain way.
um, Zebra Comics, our goal in particular, one of our goals, or one of our major goals, is to tell the African story. And we, we do this by telling stories that inspire young Africans. We see a lot of our talents going abroad or going out there, and because they're trying to get greener pastures and all that. The truth is that
Exactly.
a lot of Africans don't value what Africa has to offer. We don't realize that one of the richest continents on the planet is actually Africa. We don't realize that if we invest in Africa, we can make it greater than any continent on the planet. We don't realize that if Africans were to come together and function as one people, one nation, we would be a force to reckon with. And so, one of the objectives of Zebra is to make sure that we tell stories that make Africans, young Africans, the black man, to see his potential, to see his true power, to see that he can develop Africa. He doesn't need to always go out there to, he can stay back home and develop Africa. That's what I am doing with my team. We are down here on the field. I call it ground zero. We are down here. We are creating African content. We are telling stories that will inspire our African kids to know that you can develop Africa. You can build a future that will be worth living in. That will make other people from other continents want to come to Africa. Africa is a very rich continent. I don't know why a lot of people don't see it, especially Africans. I don't know why we don't see it. So Zebra Comics has a lot, is doing a lot through the stories we tell, because that's actually how we can do it. We can only tell stories. We can only inspire young people through the stories we tell. That look, Aliyah was able to succeed in Africa by pursuing her dreams, by developing a community. You too can do the same. Understand? So we do tell a lot of stories that are focused around this philosophy of pushing Africa ahead. So yeah, that's pretty much how our stories are targeted. We have stories of superheroes, African superheroes. We have stories of African entrepreneurs. We have stories of well, even romance stories. We have science fiction stories. We have fantasy stories. These are all genres that were previously explored mostly by Westerners, but now we are exploring to show that Africa can also be seen in grandeur. Understand? So Zebra Comics is
Exactly.
doing a lot to show this other image of Africa, and not just to the world, but to Africans themselves. That this is Africa,
Mm.
value Africa, develop Africa. So we're doing a lot towards that. So I
Wow.
hope I've answered Frank's question.
Yeah, you've answered. You just confirmed to that. But then here's another question: why the name Zebra Comics? And that's thank you for the question, Franklin. Why the name Zebra Comics? Why not
Okay.
Lions Comics?
No. I believe in the philosophy of balance. I believe that for life to exist, there must be two sides to life. Uh, I know you're asking me why I'm talking about philosophy now, and you're asking me why the name Zebra comes. But yeah, I'm trying to get to the answer. That is actually going to answer the question.
Okay.
So I believe that for life to exist, for there to be balance in the universe, there must be two opposites. There must be good, there must be evil. They cannot be just good in the world, they cannot be just evil. Both must exist. There must be black, there must be white. There must be north, there must be south for there to be balance in the world. So I take life the way it comes. When things go wrong, I just take it as part of life. When things go right, I take it as part of life. That is how things are supposed to be. For there to be balance in the world, there must be two opposites working together. There must be a male, there must be a female. That is the only way life can be created. So Zebra Comics is when you look at the zebra logo, it's trying to represent this philosophy of black and white, north and south, two opposites come
Yeah.
together. And I wanted to represent this in an African way, in an African animal. So, and the zebra was actually suggested by one of my teammates called Anina. She's a writer of Alia. She said, "Why? What?" I was thinking of an animal that has black and white. I thought of the panda. I said, "It's too Chinese." I thought of, I think the hawk. And then she said, "Why not the zebra?" I said, "Perfect. That is a perfect animal because it has the black and white that I need.
Yeah.
It shows you a good blend of two opposites. Understand? So I wanted to represent this philosophy in the logo. I wanted to represent Africa as well in this same logo. So that is really the story behind the name Zebra Comics. It didn't just come out because we just wanted to come up with a name. I wanted something that represented my philosophy as a human being and the philosophy of all the Zebra Comics members. So that's how we came by the name Zebra Comics.
Shout out to all the Zebra Comics team. It's amazing. It's an amazing team. I knew a few people in the Zebra Comics, and they are all just so amazing, and
Yeah.
they are just extremely talented. That you wonder how before that we didn't engage into comic industry because from the way EJOB Nathanael speaking, understand that he knows his thing. And today, as Riley said, he's among the top in the comic industry in Central Africa. Guys, let's make Cameroon the top in Africa, and why not the world? It is possible. It's left to us to see how we can encourage ourselves because it's not about Zebra Comics. It's about Cameroon. It's about Africa. It's about making ourselves known. As he said it, that COVID, the Marvel industry in the US, they had to shut down their company during COVID. But it wasn't the case in Africa. In Africa, it is only the distribution, that's the physical distribution that was hindered or was had issues. But then it didn't stop. It didn't stop the African comic from working. Instead, they increased their work and they accelerated more. It means that we have something that the Westerners or the Asian do not have. We have a plus. We have that zeal, that desire, that need to conquer, to work. And he's talked about, and again, thank you, Franklin, for the brilliant question. It is really amazing. I didn't think about that. And I'm also learning something we are all learning something very important. As EJOB said, the world is made up of good and evil. And it is that blame that actually makes the world a wonderful place. It's that blame that makes you, sometimes you feel, but the next day when you look at the failure, you're like, oh yeah, I had to fail because of the pain I had from the failure. I have the energy I need to really work harder and have more wins.
Yeah.
So nothing works in isolation. Everything works for our own good,
Yeah.
whether good, bad. One day we cry, one day we laugh. And it is
Part of life.
it's
Part
part
of
of life.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. Oh, sorry about that. That's the cough is really disturbing you.
Yeah.
Ned, how do you visualize Zebra Comics in 20 years? And how do you also see the African comic industry as a whole? And what do you tell our viewers? How can they involve? How can they engage themselves to make sure we bring the comic industry to the point we want it to be?
My team and I actually have a plan that spans 10 years as well. But 20 years is really a good way to look into the future. I think what we intend to have in 20 years' time is to have cartoon movies as well. We will be having a lot of cartoon movies and series produced that will be based off our comics. So I think I suggest you start reading the comics now so that the characters will not be strange to you when we start putting out the movies out there.
Mm.
So in 20 years from now, we're having it won't be as long as 20 years though. There will be a lot of movies that will be coming up. We will have an African-wide distribution of hard copies of hard
Mm.
comics. We have a chain of physical comics to be distributed. We've already started working on our physical distribution in Cameroon actually, and hopefully after COVID-19 we will become more feasible. So we are going to have a lot of comic book events created by Zebra itself, not just us attending other events. We are going to create a
Yeah.
lot of events in the years to come. We are going to create academies for the studies of comic books and animation. We are going to do a lot of things in 20 years. I'm thinking 10
Wow.
years from now, and 20 years is we're really going to take it up a notch. But currently, we have a 10-year plan, and 20 years from now is really something. It's really going to be something. Whoa! I forgot video games. We also intend to get into video games. So at least that will be at least 8 years from now. But we'll stop letting that working with a lot of partners for that to happen. So we'll get into video games, cartoons, and the physical distribution and academies and events and many more ways to push the comic book industry ahead. And as far as Africa is concerned, I have a lot of faith in my Nigerian partners. I see them doing a lot of work. I do believe in 20 years' time, it won't just be Zebra Comics. The industry across Africa would be so difficult to ignore its presence, and it will be one of the major entertainment mediums apart from film and music out there. So in 20 years, a lot will be done.
Wow. So I'll transport a question from my last interview to this one. Someone asked my last interview on Thursday with a young entrepreneur, Joyce Yamin, daughter of Thierry Yamin. The person asked, "Is it possible to buy shares to be shareholder in that company?" So now I'll ask you, is it possible to be a shareholder in Zebra Comics?
Yeah, for now we are welcoming investors into Zebra Comics. Yeah, it is quite possible. We do have some things some conditions that need to be met before we accept investors into our company. But we do accept investment. We do accept investment. We are currently receiving some investors in the days ahead. We're having some investors talking to. So we are actually welcoming a lot of investment because we do see that for this to grow, finance has a great role to play in the development of the comic book industry, and it also needs people who have a vision to see beyond today. That what
Exactly.
we're doing is not just going to end with a mobile application. It's not just going to
No.
end the distribution of just our comics. There's a lot coming on the way, and we do welcome investors who are able to see this vision with us. So yeah, welcome investment.
So the viewers, if you're passionate about comics and right now it's COVID period, you want to do something valuable, maybe you've always wanted to go into investment or create a company in that sort. Why not? Why not invest or become a stakeholder simply or buy shares from Zebra Comics? That's a way of fostering the African industry, Cameroon industry, and of course, living your dream. To live a dream, you must not carry out the dream yourself, but can live the dream through others. And today we have Zebra Comics already in the market. Now we can play our own role, our own part by encouraging them to the most. And as the rally said, they accept investors and stakeholders, but then you need to fulfill a certain number of conditions. And to be able to fulfill those conditions, I think the best solution will be to just drop a message on their Facebook page or their Instagram page with the name Zebra Comics Inc. And of course, you have all the information. Just leave a message on your Facebook page, and they'll tell you all you need to know in order to be part of them, not to tell your story. If you want to acquire a new book or something ahead of everybody, this is the time. Like, it is the time, and COVID is the best period to really have all the questions, all the answers to the questions you have.
We'll answer all your questions.
Exactly. Oh. We have another question from Franklin. Like Franklin is wondering, what do you think of collaboration between a Zebra Comics and Nollywood?
Um, it would depend on the medium, on what we want to produce. Is it a comic book or a cartoon? If it's a cartoon, yeah, we are ready to collaborate. Yeah, so we are pretty much ready to collaborate with anyone in the entertainment industry. So far as it's geared towards the production of maybe a cartoon, a graphic novel, a comic book, or a webtoon. Yeah, so yeah, why not? Why not? We already working with a lot of
Wow.
Nigerians. It's not something we are strangers to.
Mm. Okay. I know for sure that Zebra Comics has won so many awards, has won awards and has featured in many events in the past years, and one of which was the Returnees Prize in 2019. How do you come to know about the Returnees project, and what message can you give other Africans who do not see the value of comic books in general?
I think it was in the maybe it was in 2017. I think I saw the I can't maybe it was 18. I think I saw the Returnees project on TV, and I was quite interested in what Miranda Oben was doing as far as promoting young African entrepreneurs and getting them to work alongside the diaspora. And I had to get involved one way or another. I had to get uh, look for a way to participate in the Returnees project. And Miranda, she was a very open person. She was very welcoming, and I was quite impressed because at times when you go towards someone, you don't expect to be welcomed. You don't expect to be welcomed. But it was great. It was great talking to her, and she told me more about the Returnees project, and that's how I came to participate right up to the level where I won in the entertainment category last year, and it's the first time there's an entertainer winning in the category, or it's the first time someone is winning in the entertainment category from comics, and it's really
Wow. Yeah.
and took along that victory, and I was quite happy with that. So yeah, yeah. Uh,
Wow.
what
Because
message?
yeah. So, what message can you give to Africans who do not see the value in the world of comics?
um, I there's something. A lot of people, there's still many people who don't know the value of comics just because they haven't read a comic. You I think the best way to find out if you're going to love something or not like it is to give it a try. If you try it and you still don't like it, then it's really not for you. If you read a comic
Mm,
and you want to continue reading, then you like a comic. You just didn't know you liked it. So
exactly.
I think the best thing I would say is for those who don't value comics or don't appreciate comics or maybe think it's something for children or uh, I don't know. Just try one comic. Just go to the Zebra Comics app, for example. Just try one. If you don't like it, you're free to go. Nobody is forcing you. If you don't like it, you can uninstall the app. But I assure you, if you like a story, you're going to stick with us. You're going to stick with us because comic books tell stories of all genres. One of the misconceptions that people who don't know comics have is they're childish, they're for children, but no, there
Exactly.
are there are comic books that are not even for kids. There
Mhm.
are comic books that I was talking about a romance story recently, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be for children. You see, so comic books are like every medium of entertainment. You can't say all movies are for adults or all movies are for kids. So why would
Hmm.
comic books be focused only on kids? So we tell stories for every age group. So you will find something that will relate to you there. So I just think you should go through our platform and maybe look at a comic that suits your needs. If you like the story, you would obviously continue with that story.
Definitely.
Uh, so give it a try before you say you don't like it. If you don't like it, then it's really not for you.
Yeah. Well then, thank you so much, so much, Nick. You've said so much about the comic world, and I get to understand better. Actually, I get to understand really the difference between the comic books, the cartoon, the webtoon, the graphic novel, the storybooks. Because I think that's a misconception that many people have. They take comic books for storybooks, and that's why it's generally categorized like, okay, it's child's play. Because we know that most of the things we have to watch, we know that things like what Marvel produces, the Marvel industry in the US, they have most of the storyline, like Captain America. It was first a comic before they decided to put it in the movie form. It was first a comic that was being drawn, and people they love Captain America, but do they know that it was first a comic book? It was first a graphic novel before it was
What,
put
what
up in
about
that.
what about the Black Panther? Everyone was
Exactly.
rushing in 2018 to go watch the Black Panther, and I was like, this thing, Black Panther has been existing for decades, at least
Wow.
60 years. Black Panther has been existing for
Wow.
decades. Yeah. So and the Black Panther comic obviously has been existing for at least. So comic book readers have always been reading the Black Panther, and when we saw people so excited about the movie, I was like, you guys just heard about this today? Seriously? So those are one of the things we are trying to do. So to make sure that African comics, people see them, they have this visibility. So that when they see maybe a movie of Aliyah tomorrow or a movie of Totem, they're not surprised that just from seeing Totem, they will be familiar with the character and pretty much with the
Exactly.
world of Totem. So comics have always been something that have always existed. They have existed longer than a lot of people who are alive today. So, yeah. So we are going to be doing a lot to be telling our own stories so that people are not surprised in future when they see a movie come up.
Mm, mhm. Definitely. Thank you so much for those enlightenments. And
Mhm.
we encourage all the viewers, if you're watching this right now, you're going to watch it later on, please like, comment, share. Let all Africa know about Zebra Comics. Now, this is a
Yeah.
COVID period. Let our children be creative enough to be able to inspire themselves. We have so many of those children that they love drawing. Maybe what age of didn't tell you is that since primary school, secondary school, he used to draw, make drawing competition. It was his passion from childhood. He told you guys it's his talent, and today he's living from his talent. So we
Yeah.
have those kids home that
Totally.
they love drawing. We should encourage them to lead their passion. And today they have someone, they have they have an inspiration, like a model that you can look up to and say, okay, there's this person, there's EJOB Nathanael, there's Ann Nina, there's so many of them that they love drawing. They have had degrees, yes, but it didn't stop them from living their passion. And today they are
Yeah.
living and from
Yeah.
their passion. We have so many of those people out there. We have Zebra
Okay.
Comics, and I'm certain that they'll be really happy to help young children, help kids with talented kids
Mm.
that want to go to, even if not for a career, but to learn to increase their talent. They'll be so happy.
One thing a lot of parents, or I've spoken with a lot of parents. I've even uh, taught had some lessons with some young people and their parents, in the presence of their parents, some toddlers and their parents. So I've made a lot of parents to understand the value of letting children pursue their dreams. I started out in insurance. Insurance wasn't a bad thing. It paid the bills too. So, but I live today for my craft. I draw for a living. If it's in graphic design, if it's in comics, if it's in animated videos and all of that is in one bubble of creativity. So that's what I live off today. So I tell a lot of parents to allow their children to, if your child loves to draw, let him draw. And one of the things that parents don't understand is that at times they demonize comics. They say, don't let your child read comic books. They should go and read academic books. At the end of the day, I have this story I always tell is um, there was a research done some years back in Arizona, USA. I've also done my own research, but 80% of kids who grew up learning or reading comic books, eventually became very good readers. They developed from reading not just comics but reading novels, reading even academic books. So comics was a very
Yeah,
good base for them to develop the culture of reading. So if you want a child to
exactly.
really explore his reading or develop a reading culture, the best way to start is through comics. Kids cannot say no to comics, and at the end of the day, you realize that even schoolwork, it wouldn't be difficult for them to read because they'll be able to relate a lot of things with the comics they have learned. I'm talking now out of experience. When I was in school, I was a very good student, by the way, and a lot of times when I was in class, um, when the teacher says something, I picture a certain scene in the comic book that helps me to understand it better. And I realized that I went through a lot of my life in school relating a lot of the lessons I was taught to comic books. And it helped me a lot in my
Wow.
studies. So this is one of the things I made parents to see. And at the end of the day, they realized that it actually helped open the imagination of the children, help them to understand a lot. Because comic books is just a magical medium, honestly. A lot of people haven't understood this. And that's why I always say, before you say no to a comic book, read a comic book. Read one.
Yeah, definitely. So, Nate, what do you recommend your, apart from comic, I guess you should also love watching movies and reading books. You just talk about books. So, what do you recommend our viewers from your collection? What do you recommend them as movie and as book? And what's your favorite music?
Uh, um, I'll start with the movies. I'm a very large movie consumer, and to call, I don't have a favorite movie. That's the truth. I have movies that I like to watch. I'll rather say I love science fiction movies. I love fantasy movies. Those are my two top genres. Those are my two top genres.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes you.
I love a lot of things that do Afrofuturism too and fantasy. So anything that really falls into this category is something that I will likely love. So I will be quoting things like Black Panther, obviously. That's a very good movie. I'll be quoting things like RoboCop. Oh, I love RoboCop. I miss RoboCop.
Oh,
um, um, as far as old movies go, RoboCop is one of my favorite movies. I can actually say that. I actually have um, that is inspired by RoboCop. So uh, as far as fantasy is concerned, I will go towards things like the Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potters, and all that. And as far as movies are concerned, I will go towards things like Lionheart, The Wedding Party, and all other top-notch African movies. I love these movies in particular because of the quality of the movies, like The Wedding Party and all that. I really love the quality, and I'm all about the quality of the product. So uh, in the genre of music, whew, I love everything that sings to my heart, that touches my heart. Really, I listen to
oh,
literally every genre of music. I don't have a favorite genre of music. I really don't. Right? And particular for me about music is instrumentals. I like working with instrumental music, cold instrumental music. They're usually movie themes or movie theme songs. I like those instrumental music. They put in a certain mood when I'm working, and us creatives we need a lot of moods when we're working.
yeah,
So as far as
exactly.
music is concerned, and I also like video games. I play a lot of video games, but not as often as an addict would. But I play a lot of games when I have some free time to play games. I love games like the Assassin's Creed franchise. I love games like the Uncharted franchise. I do play a lot of games. Um, FIFA? No, I don't play FIFA. I don't play. I don't play FIFA. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm more into adventure games. So in summary, those are the things I like.
So, what's your favorite quote?
Favorite? My favorite
Oh, your
what?
quotation. What's your favorite
Oh,
quotation? Quote.
my favorite quotation is "Fortune favors the bold."
Oh,
That's about it.
fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what, Nick? Do you have any special message? What's a special message to the world? To everybody listening to us now, those who are going to listen to us later on. What's a special message you have for them this evening?
My special message will be do what you want to do with your life. You're the only one who can live it. Don't give. You should not give a damn about what other people want you to do with your life. At the end of the day, if it goes south, it's your fault. If it goes okay, it's still your fault. So you rather just do what you feel you should do that will make you really happy. It was nothing that, like I always say, there are ups and downs in life, so you don't expect it to be easy. You don't expect it to be all bliss. So, but
Mhm.
you, I'd rather do what I love to do than do what society or wants me to do, and feel miserable about it. So I'd rather be miserable doing what I love to do than the otherwise. So my message to anyone out there is do what you're meant to do. Be you. Don't try to be someone else. It's not because I do comics that you think, oh, comics are cool. The cool thing now. Maybe I should get into comics. No, don't do that. Do what you were meant to do. Everybody,
Yeah.
strangely enough, is unique. Even twins, they are
Mhm.
unique. So do what you were meant to do. Don't give a damn about what anyone says. Just do you. You'll be happier that way. You live a happier life that way. So that's pretty much it.
Now we have Bruce that your quotation. Fortune favors the bold. Thank you, Ajob. Superb.
Thank you, Bruce.
It's really, yeah, it's really a wonderful quote. Fortune favors the bold. We need to take a bold step. Ajob has said it all, and I think from his storyline, from the young talented guy who loved drawing in secondary school, primary school, to going to university degree, becoming entering into insurance company, and imagine leaving all he had because he could say, "No, I'm too young to live my dream, to live my talent." He could say that I'm too young, that I have to wait until I get older, I have to wait until I buy a piece of land, until I can construct myself so I can get married. But no, he dropped everything, went into the uncertainty because it wasn't a certainty that the company would work. He left
Yeah,
everything, left
at
what
all.
gave him hope, and no, he took the bold step. Fortune favors the bold. That's
Yeah.
what he did. Exactly, left all what he had to go into adventure, into what he wanted, into living his talent. And today, his passion has become his talent, and he's living it to the fullest. And he's encouraged so many to live in the same way. And of course, no matter your field of expertise, even if you love, he just rightly said it. Don't say you want to go into comic books or comic industry because it's what is flourishing right now. No, you have your own peculiarity. But then comic industry can bring you something in your own field. Maybe you're a medical doctor, this is COVID period, and you say something, and you've had an experience that has marked you so much, and you like to put it down in a storyline or in a somehow, and you love comic. It's just a way of putting down. You can contact Zebra Comics, and they help you put your story down. You will still live your dream in another way, from your own point of view, from your own field of expertise. This evening, we were with EJOB Nathanael. Thank you so much, EJOB. It was so much pleasure to have you
Guys,
this time. It was a
great to
pleasure. Exactly. Now, do you have someone or some people you like to greet out there?
I would like to greet Uncle Bruce. I don't know who he is, but I like his participation. I like to greet Franklin Agogo. I like to greet Anina. I like to greet Elysia Petit. I like to greet Miranda. I like to greet Mickey. I like to greet Fensu Miles, Gales, Benjamin, Jude. I like to greet. Hey, I should not forget the team member. This is going to be so bad. Okay. So I like to greet my entire Zebra Comics team. They are my family. They're really my family. They are the guys that make me go ahead. And Marvin too, I cannot forget Marvin. No one. Marvin is the one that is really really makes things happen. Apart from Frank and Nina and Benjamin, well, the entire Zebra Comics team. So they are really my family. These are the people I'm greeting out there. Thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate all those who watched and who listened to us. Thank you to Alice. Thanks the Returnees Project for this, and see you guys in the. Hey, and download the app. Everyone was watching this. Download Zebra Comics. Buy a comic book. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can buy it with your bank card. If you're in Cameroon, use your mobile money. Use your orange money. Buy a comic book, people. Buy a comic book. Support the artists who are working on this thing. So thank you guys very much. Thank you, Alice. I really appreciate tonight's talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nate. Thank you so much. No, it has said it all. Nate has said it all. Buy the comic books. Download the app. On Google Store, Zebra Comics. Download it. It is free to download. It is free. They have some free issues. They have some issues on promotion that cost just 300 francs CFA. That's about 50 cents in euro. That's 50. It's not up to $1. Of course, there are other articles that are $1, that are €1, but they have so much, and they have so much beautiful content. Work to them. Let's encourage. We have the Ubuntu philosophy in Africa. Together we are stronger. Let's work together. After COVID period, we should be able to say, before COVID, this is where we were, and after COVID, we have been able to accomplish so much. And of course, I would like to thank again very, very much Nathanael for his presence here this evening. We've met, we know ourselves for so long. I don't know how many years we know ourselves, and I have watched exactly. I've watched EJOB. Yeah, I've watched so much. Yeah, that was Yaoundé. That's true. You remember?
Yeah, I think I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've watched EJOB live his dream from scratch until where he is today. So again, I'm proudly saying the story, and it's an honor for me. Actually, I'm really honored to be able to interview him this evening, because I don't know what to say else than to encourage him. And everybody watching this video, everybody's going to watch this video, like, share, comment, go to the Zebra Comic platform on Facebook, on Instagram. Love their work, encourage them. We can make the Africa we want ourselves for tomorrow. Let our children say, okay, in US we have the Marvel, in Africa, in Cameroon we have Zebra Comics, in this part of Japan we have the manga industry. Let's build that Africa we want for ourselves and our next generation. Let's dream. Let's encourage our young ones. Let's encourage our kids. Let's tell them all those beautiful stories. Today we talk about let's make our worth be known. And one of the ways to make our worth be known to the whole world is through comics. Is through giving them very good content. And of course, we ourselves have to make the world love what we do. So what's the best thing to make them love what we do, if not of reading and sharing? We are midway of the year, we're in June. So start preparing your money, start ordering comic books to offer to your loved ones for December. The end of year, we are midway already in 2020. Very soon, you want to check out, it will be Xmas period. And of course, start ordering your comic book. Exactly. Go to your platform, go to your mobile app, see all the products you have. If you have your kid, you have your niece, you have your father, you have your mother that loves comic, that loves storytelling, buy a comic and start ordering them in advance for Christmas. On the meantime, guys, I'll see you guys on Tuesday with another wonderful and fabulous person. It was Ali Misteria Girl. It was a pleasure having you tonight, and hope to see you guys soon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay blessed. But don't forget, favors. What was the step? What was your
Fortune favors the bold.
Favors the bold. That's what you have to do. in the head tonight. Fortune favors the bold. That's what we need to keep. So once you're going back, just remember you need to take the bold step in everything you do. It may be hard. One day you're down, the other day you're up. But in all cases, never back down. Never ever bow down. Bye, guys. See
Bye
you.
bye.